From beautiful East Tennessee, you are listening to the Sherry Voluntary Show, and I do appreciate you spending your time with me today. We're going to have an interesting show.
We always have interesting shows.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So my producer, Daniel Blanchett, is going to be my co-pilot today. Not Jesus. Jesus isn't my co-pilot on this episode or any other. He's probably ashamed of me.
No.
I don't know. But so we're going to review today a documentary of a movie.
Yep, current events.
Yeah. From 1980 or 79. 1979, I think.
Oh, the documentary's from 79?
No, I think the movie came out in 79, right? It's The Life of Brian was the movie, but we are going to talk about 1979.
Oh, yep.
We're going to talk about a documentary made about the controversies surrounding the life of Brian, which was called The Secret Life of Brian. So, for those of you who have never seen the movie, if you haven't, what's wrong with you? You should go see it. It's really, really great. And it's about the time of Jesus Christ, but there's a man that people mistake for the Messiah, who's not Jesus. His name is Brian. And of course, it's Monty Python, so it's satire and it's very funny. And there's all these, jokes that you have to kind of pay attention to get. And, if you like Holy Grail, you'd like this, I think.
Yeah, I think Life of Brian was probably their best work.
Yeah, it's great. I really enjoyed it. And I didn't see it, of course, when it came out, because I was just a little babe.
You were, what, 15 when it came out?
Yeah, right. I was a couple years old when it came out. And I saw it as probably like 13 or 14 on HBO or something like that. And I just thought it was hilarious because I was, involved in a group that was sort of marginal in the Christian world anyways, and we sort of had the same sort of look at the rest of Christianity. And so
so you were the People's Front of Judea?
Yeah. No, we were the People's Front of Northern Judea.
Oh, okay.
Different group. So anyways, I just really always liked this movie, and I happened to stumble across this documentary recently, and it was really eye-opening. I never considered that movie was controversial because it's clearly comedy.
And it's clearly controversial.
Yeah, but I mean, I was 13 or 14 when and it wasn't the culture of outrage that we live in now. I mean, people got upset about things. I remember when The Last Temptation of Christ came out. You remember that movie? People lost their stuff. Like they were literally. That's really the first big controversial thing that I remember surrounding Christianity. I mean, from my own experience, but.
So our former vice president's ex-wife, or I guess wife, I don't know.
Tipper Gore.
Is he still married to Tipper?
As far as I know, they're still married.
Well, she in the early 80s, she caused a lot of controversy, and I think she was building off of things like this.
Okay, yeah. With I know there was a big group in the United States. I can't remember their name or the lady that was the head of it. That was like a Christian group about they wanted to censor heavy metal lyrics and album covers, and they were taking Judas Priest to court and stuff like that over suicides. And I do remember that going on. That was big because I was always into metal, and I just thought it was utterly ridiculous. So anyways, with this movie, which came out in 1979, and it initially started out that they wanted to make Jesus Christ lust for glory, was like patent lust for glory. They were kind of, doing a play on that. And then they said that, as they got into it, they realized Jesus really wasn't that funny, that he was saying the right things and he was a good guy, and there wasn't really a lot of funny stuff there. Yeah, so
it's like making a comedy about Gandhi. You're just not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, it's not that funny. So what is funny though is all of the people surrounding a religion, all of the people in a religion, and how crazy people can be sometimes in their religious fervor and zealotry. And so they made fun of that and some cultural things as well. And
for Jesus to have gotten as popular and as well regarded as he did, as fast as he did, people had to have been ready And so this kind of played on that idea.
Yeah, yeah. And so what I guess that really stood out to me was the amount, social justice warrior is for me a term that seems relatively new. I never heard that until the past few years.
Right.
But that has been going on for a long, long time. I mean, you can look at Prohibition and say that was a bunch of social justice warriors for sure. So this social justice warrioring, I just thought it would be interesting to talk about it from that time period, because there's so many parallels to today, the things that people are outraged on, but it's like switched, where people who are on the right in this instance would now be the people on the left that are the social justice warriors who are upset about words and about making fun of certain groups. And
yeah, so I think this movie wouldn't have any trouble being made today, because it's making fun of Christianity, and
that's okay in
right.
our culture.
It's perfectly. Now, if it had been making fun of Muhammad, then it wouldn't have been made.
Right. Exactly. That is the absolute truth of how Hollywood works at this point. And not just Hollywood, many places. I mean, remember the shooting? I can't remember the newspaper. That they did a cartoon about Muhammad. They were the ones that got shot up.
The Dutch newspaper.
I thought it was French.
Oh, Charlie Hebdo.
Yeah, Charlie Hebdo. That thing, and all the controversies stirred up there, and because the Dutch had done it as well. That place in Texas where they had the draw a picture of Muhammad contest. Right. Those things aren't controversial if that wasn't the case. It is the case that you can't make fun of Muhammad. I mean, not only because the Muslims don't like that's part of their religion, but because all of the people who get upset when they feel like you're discriminating against, even though it's not discrimination in my opinion.
Right.
At all.
I mean, and I think they did Monty Python more favors than anything else, because it got them so much promotion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
definitely.
They made George Harrison a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, but he really rescued them. So that's part of the story of the movie, is that they got together, had the idea, wrote the script, had a backer for it. I think it was EMI, something like that. And everything was going fine. They were scheduled to shoot in like 2 weeks in Tunisia, and EMI pulls out because the head of the company hadn't looked at the script yet. Finally looks at it and says, "This is blasphemous." He was a Catholic.
Well, yeah, and on top of that, somebody had leaked the script to that Christian group.
Yeah. Festival of Lights.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was at Mary Whitehouse. She called herself the guardian of Christianity. And this is one thing that I want to make the point of, that God, Jesus, Christianity does not need your protection. If there's a God that created the heavens and the earth, He don't need you to protect him, right? He doesn't need you to guard him. He doesn't need you to do all that stuff. I mean, if you have that much power, little old me isn't the guardian of that thing. So I think it's really, there's a lot of ego involved in someone who call themselves the guardian of Christianity. What she's really the guardian of are her own social standards, and the social standards of her community, and the people that, because there are plenty of Christians in England at the time that weren't involved with her particular brand.
Early virtue signaling.
Yes, exactly. It's the idea that if someone's not standing for the flag, that you need to attack them because you need to signal that you would not do that. Not that you can go, well, I think that guy's a jerk for not standing for the pledge. But
how dare you make fun of somebody who happens to be in proximity of Jesus and thinks he's the one there yet?
Right. And that's one of the things that they point out in the movie, is that so this woman, Mary Whitehouse, she had already sued the Gay News in London because they had published a poem where someone had written about Christ on the cross and his wounds and how they were sexually aroused by this. It was called The Love That Dares Speak Its Name. So it was playing on an old theme.
I missed that in the documentary.
Yeah, it's in there. So she had taken a private suit for blasphemy, or blasphemous libel is what they called it at the time, because you could be prosecuted in London or in Britain for blasphemy. And so she brought charges, not only against the paper, but against I think he was the editor himself privately. And of course, they lost. The paper was fined. He was fined a certain amount of money, and he spent 18 months, or he got a 2-year sentence in jail and got 18 months suspended.
So he got
jail time
for a civil lawsuit.
Yes, for blasphemous libel. And I won't go into all the details of the suit, but the judge set really bad precedents in that case because he said that blasphemy was defined, or blasphemous libel was defined as blah, blah, blah. And that really opened the floodgates because it was one of those vague things again.
Right.
And so that's the kind of climate that this was made in, this movie. This had already happened. So the script, once it was leaked to this woman, she got outraged and she was trying to get the National Film Board, I guess, or someone to ban it, and they wouldn't. But in Britain, the local council, each place's council can also ban a film.
Right.
And so they undertook this big political action campaign, and the woman was really good at organizing people and getting people on the side of right. She was a virtue warrior, and so many of the councils did ban it. You even had, I think it was Norway, banned it, but the country beside them didn't. And so people were crossing the border to see it, and they said it's such a good movie that has been banned in Norway, and it's so funny it's been banned in Norway. Like it was a big deal. So there was just a lot of controversy surrounding it from people who never even saw the movie. Right.
Yeah. One of the things I found really telling was there was a bishop who was like, "Well, I don't need to see it.
Right.
The description tells me that that's filth, and I don't need, but it's not something I would need to see to know that it was blasphemous."
Right. And in the court case, the lawyer that was took it on for them, they had to prove that they weren't making fun of Jesus Christ. And it's clear they're not making fun of Jesus. They're making fun of religion, religious people. They're making fun of all of these things, but Brian is the main character, and he's mistaken for the Messiah. The Messiah is portrayed in the movie very normally, reverently. Right. It's such a great part in the movie too. It's early on when Jesus is doing the Sermon on the Mount, and people are listening, and the people in the back can't hear. So Brian's mom is yelling, "Speak up!" And it's just they were saying that was making fun of Jesus. Well, it clearly wasn't making fun of Jesus. It was a regular. It's something that would be normal people acting in a normal way, and funny though.
Right.
But I love the movie.
Yeah. One of the things I found, one of the more amusing scenes is, so there's an uproar because Jesus is talking, and Brian thinks it's for him, so he goes and he opens the door, what's going on, and he's naked, and then all of a sudden everybody, it's a cacophony of cheers, and he's standing in front of the door naked. He's like, panics.
The shutters, yeah. There's so many good parts in that, and one of the things that, I think it was Terry Gilliam maybe said in the documentary that really I thought rang true was, sacred cows are meant to be slaughtered. Like they're there, and if they can't withstand criticism, then maybe those ideas aren't that great. And I think Christianity has withstood a lot more criticism and a lot harsher time or ordeals than the life of Brian. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, it can withstand that. And it's I think we have to have that conversation about what's funny and what's not. And for me, in comedy, as in most of art, anything goes. Really, art is to challenge the status quo and to elevate the thinking of people. And I think that you don't have to look at what you don't like.
Yeah.
For one.
One of the things I saw today on the Book of Faces was somebody was in the current uproar about pedophilia. Somebody found a quote from Patton Oswalt from either 2009 or 2006 where he was obviously talking about feet. So he was playing on the word pedo meaning foot. And he's making a joke about pedophiles and how that should be perfectly okay from the perspective of somebody who's stupid. Patton Oswalt is not stupid, but he's playing with the word choice. And libertarians are reading this going, and oh my God, here's somebody in Hollywood saying it's okay to be a pedophile in 2009. Almost intentionally getting the joke wrong.
Yeah.
As if, even if he had been joking about pedophilia, actual kid touching, it's abhorrent. But comedy is supposed to lambast the abhorrent.
Yeah.
You're not supporting something by using it in comedy.
Right.
No matter how you use it.
Yeah.
And if you can't even talk about the tangents off of the subject without having people 10 years later try and hold you to task for it, it says bad things about the culture today, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, we really do live in an outrage culture. It's if you have to get outraged about things, you can't just go idiots, and walk away, or you just can't go, well, I don't agree with that. It's got to be, I've got to signal to the world that I am the warrior against this. And I was always taught that we don't stand against things. We stand for things. So I'm not sure that always holds true. I mean, I think there are things you have to be against. But the more important thing is to stand for things.
Right.
That we stand for nonviolent societies. We stand for, voluntary interactions in that society. We stand for private property rights. Those are things I stand for. And I don't need to worry about all the other stuff out there that attacks those things, because if those beliefs, those philosophies hold true, they can withstand the poking of that. And that's one of the things that makes your ideals better and makes you refine your ideals and grow, is to go, okay, well, maybe that's a valid argument, or maybe it isn't, but then it gives you a better way to combat that particular argument. So
right.
I think we have this idea that everything someone says too is open for debate on a broad level. Like the poor girl that wore the Chinese dress to prom.
Right.
I was thinking about these people, this is they got all upset when the people were attacking the children who were calling for guns controls,
right?
But not this poor girl who wore a dress to her prom. And somebody owns that culture. Apparently, that this one Chinese guy that was offended by it owns that culture. Yeah,
when culturally, a lot of people in cultures really like it when foreigners adopt their culture, because it's a sign of respect.
Right. I like that. That's cool.
I think that what you do is really awesome, and so I want to emulate it.
The Japanese in particular love when people emulate their culture. They love that. As a group, like every Japanese person. But on the whole, culturally, they are very accepting, and they want that kind of emulation because they see that as a sign of, this is good enough for me to want to emulate. Therefore, it could never be that it's somehow only progressives could take that and turn it into something terrible.
At some point in the last 10 years, it went from, so Sambo movies and, all the minstrel shows and all the horrible things that were done that were actually racist, whether you were lampooning people. And it went from that to, it's no longer even acceptable to show appreciation for and adopt the culture.
Right.
So you're not putting on blackface when you put on a kimono. You're going, this kimono is pretty awesome. Yeah. I'm going to wear a kimono.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to wear a dashiki because look at these colors.
Yeah.
This shirt's awesome. You're not lambasting black culture by wearing a dashiki. You're lambasting black culture when you put on blackface and you start singing "Mama,"
right?
Like
Mammy.
Al Jolson.
Yeah, that's and it's like people can't tell the difference in the left. I think it's that they don't want to.
I don't think it's that they can't tell. I think it's that they're looking for opportunities to score points.
And I think they have to, because when you live in the realm of victimization, victim mentality, you have to always have victimhood in order to have a political platform to keep going on. So if I think it's nice that more people are represented now in on television. I wouldn't force it, but I think it's a nice thing. I don't mind that. But to say they have to do this, or that, what if they did have a show that had all white people on it or all black people on it? I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a bad thing.
You had a great quote earlier that we were talking about from July 4th, where they were interviewing.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it's funny because it has just recently been in the news again, Terry Gilliam and John Cleese in Britain, because they're wanting to start a new comedy show there, or they have, and it says that there was a controversy over the BBC's controller of comedy commissioning, Shane Allen. Like, that alone, controller of comedy commissioning. Like, we have to have a committee to oversee the comedy because God forbid that someone get offended. Like being offended is the worst thing that can happen to someone.
I think they've spent the entire time since Monty Python went off the air making sure that Monty Python never goes back on the air.
Maybe. But so this man, Shane Allen, had said the stories about the show, that he emphasized the corporation's commitment to, quote, the stories that haven't been told and the voices we haven't yet heard. In response to a question about Monty Python's Flying Circus, Allen said, if you're going to assemble a team now, it's not going to be 6 Oxbridge white blokes. It's going to be a diverse range of people who reflect the modern world. And Monty Python wasn't assembled by that. Like,
right.
So...
But you can definitely see that in modern British television. Like, every show will have one black person and one Asian person and one member of either the LGBT community.
Yeah. Even American television, it's not uncommon here.
But like here, it's not quite so pronounced. But like I was watching a show called Torchwood, which was a spinoff of Doctor Who, and it was so like obviously sorted. Like they were filling in every possible slot.
Right.
And it was still a good show, and they pulled it off. But it was pretty dramatic. Like in England, it's a white country. Like there are people that aren't white in England, but it's a white culture. Mm-hmm. And so to have the TV show be a rainbow, it pushes the diversity issue a little bit hard, I think.
Yeah. It's a matter of not letting things happen just because, like the most recent thing with, what's her name? The actress that, Black Widow, and I can't think of her name right. Scarlett Johansson. Yeah. And her pulling herself out of the movie Push and Tug. Something like that.
Rub and
Tug, yes. Push and Tug. Rub and Tug. Because she was going to play a transgendered woman.
Right. And
the transgender community was upset. Well, what famous transgendered actress is going to do that?
Yeah, and
I know that that one of the who is the guy that Courtney Cox was married to, the famous Hollywood family, Rosanna Arquette. David Arquette says they have a sister who is transgendered, who is an actress, but she's not a top-level Hollywood star actress that can lead a movie. Like, that's
Scarlett
not to
Johansson
downplay
is
her.
One of the few A-list actresses or actors who is female. And so, for a movie where they're banking millions and millions of dollars
on star power,
and so they need it to open, because if a movie doesn't make money in the first couple of weeks, it's not going to make any money. And it's talking about marginal issues, and it's bringing to light important things. To not then back that up with star power, you're saying that we would rather have the movie fail,
right?
As long as the right people got to star in it,
right?
So
they even shoot them, the progressives even shoot themselves in the foot with messages that they would want to get out there. And yet, because this particular woman, who is actually a woman, can't play this trans woman.
Well, and I think she was playing a trans man. So it was, it was a little confusing the way it was worded. I think that she was playing a woman who's transitioning to a man.
Okay.
So it wasn't inconceivable that she'd do that.
Right. Either way, it doesn't matter. You need an actor. That's what actors do. They pretend to be a myriad of different people. And so why couldn't like any actress, any actor would do. I'm sure Scarlett Johansson, being a top professional, would go to that community and find out how they would respond and do research. You know, this would be, she would want to be authentic. She would want to give a good performance, all of those things. So that's not whitewashing a movie. That's not saying that.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Siri and Alexa both protested when she played her in the movie about AIs and how they interact with people. Oh, wait, no. No, they didn't.
Okay. Well, let's move along. So I wanted to continue in this article because I think this is why it's so relevant. This just happened. This is from
July 4th.
July 4th, yes. And from The Guardian. I love The Guardian. They have so many great articles. He said that, I think it was Terry Gilliam. He said about this man's comments, Alan's comments, he said, "It made me cry. The idea that no longer 6 white Oxbridge men can make a comedy show. Now we need one of this, one of that, everybody represented. This is bullshit. I no longer want to be a white male. I don't want to be blamed for everything wrong in the world. I tell the world now I'm a black lesbian. My name is Loretta and I am a BLT, a black lesbian in transition." He added, "Alan's statements made me so angry, all of us so angry. Comedy is not assembled. It's not like putting together a boy band where you put together one of this, one of that, everyone is represented." And John Cleese had said earlier in response to this same man, he said, "Unfair. We were remarkably diverse for our time. We had 3 grammar school boys, 1 a poof, and Gilliam, though not actually black, was a Yank, and no slave owners." So and Terry Gilliam also said it's crazy how simplified things are becoming in response to the Me Too movement, which he was, had spoken out about. And I think that's true. We're trying to, in a way, make things more complicated and oversimplify them at the same time.
Yeah. For the longest time, all it took to be successful in comedy was that you be funny. So it was one of the few, like, truly egalitarian forms of entertainment, because if you were funny, you would be successful. Richard Pryor was wildly successful at a time when racism was prevalent.
Right. And wildly funny.
Yes, no,
very
absolutely.
funny.
Eddie Murphy,
my
Pryor,
favorite.
Yeah,
I love him.
For a very long time was very funny until he got tied up with those Saturday Night Live people. It killed his career.
Buckwheat was hilarious. Oh, and the James Brown celebrity hot tub. Come on, man. That was some good stuff.
But if it's not okay to be whoever you are and just be funny, like if funny is not the only criterion for a successful comedy, then comedy's dead.
Yeah.
You start getting social justice comedies, which aren't funny. You get Roseanne and you get Rosie O'Donnell and Janine Garofalo, and they have been funny at points in their career. But when they decided to become super political, they derailed. It was, they went from being very funny to being very not funny. And I don't think they even realize it. But their fans don't care that they're not funny because they're saying the right things.
Right. What's the lady's name? The redheaded chick that decapitated the image of Donald Trump. I can't think of her name right now. Yeah. I didn't know we were going to talk about her, but that's the same thing. Like, I have seen her a long, long, long time ago and was really funny. Yeah. But the whole decapitating Donald Trump wasn't even funny. Like, I think that a comedian actually said that too. Like, I can forgive her for doing this. What I can't forgive is that she wasn't funny. Right. It's not funny. Like, it's like their politics blinds them to the thing that they're good at, which is being funny. Right. So I'm reminded once again of The Righteous Mind, which I also highly recommend. You can get it on Kindle and listen to it, or Audible. Is that belief binds and blinds, and that can be a good thing to bind you to a community, but it's a bad thing when it blinds you to the problems that exist in that. Yeah. So I personally don't find everything funny, but I'm not the arbiter because someone offends me of what is allowed to be said.
Yeah.
Like,
And I'll even say that, in some cases, the backlash against the social justice warrior thing sometimes also is out of hand.
yes,
Like,
absolutely.
I think that the remake of Ghostbusters was actually funnier than the original.
Oh, I haven't seen it, but I really would have a hard time believing that.
So I think part of the problem is that Ghostbusters came out in a time when comedy wasn't funny. And so if you go back and watch it, it's got a lot of, like, the jokes don't age well.
There's something wrong with you.
There are lots of things wrong with me. But
That's a great... I just have to disagree with you on this one.
Yeah, a lot of Dan Aykroyd's comedy does not hold up. He was lauded for proximity to funny people, and a lot of Ghostbusters doesn't stand up to today for me. But the new Ghostbusters was really funny, but nobody would go see it because it was all women, and oh my God, they took it and they made it.
But I think that there's a fair point to be made there. That I'm not saying it's funnier because I don't believe it because I haven't seen it, so I will withhold judgment, saying I'm highly skeptical because I think Bill Murray was just brilliant in that movie, and I love the movie. So, anyways, but the fair point is that they made it just to make it with women.
Right.
And that in and of itself I find distasteful. Now, if these women just happen to want to write your own dang script that's really good. Like, you're funny women. You can do it. Write something. And make it original. Like, I don't know. It's just...
It's so much easier to get a remake made.
Yeah, and that is true. And, okay, so I just feel like there's so many things that they're doing now. They have to do it with women because it was done with men. Like, don't men have anything of their own anymore?
So, in this case, I don't think that their intention was to female wash Ghostbusters. I think it was a group of funny women who said, you know what, I think we could do Ghostbusters, and I think it could be funny, and so they did it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like...
But it seems like...
Right. No, I get
the issue,
I get why you would be tentative about going into it. I was a little bit.
Yeah.
But, in an age when Jurassic Park 43 comes out, and it's not, it's...
It's not good.
It's funny.
Is it? Really?
Well, it's funny because it's basically a Michael Bay movie now. They took all the smarts out of it, and it's a bunch of dinosaurs and big action, and just like every single thing that you would think happens.
Right.
And so I was laughing through the whole movie.
Wow.
But none of it was appropriate.
Yeah. Jeff Goldblum made those first movies. Like,
yeah.
He is... I happen to love Jeff Goldblum anyways.
And he was pretty good in this, too, with his cameo.
Yeah. Oh, he had a cameo. Okay. I think he's a great actor, and I find him very attractive as well. So, I don't know. I thought his role in those movies was so smart but he's quirky, so he's kind of funny too, and
his
that
whole
was really
career
great.
is trying to be me.
He hasn't reached your level of quirk yet, my friend.
Right, he's not as attractive and he's not as quirky.
We're gonna move on with that said, but I guess we could just wrap it up by saying, what happened to Live and Let Live and change the channel? That used to be the thing when I was a kid, when everybody was outraged at Alf. Just change the channel.
Yeah.
If you don't like something, don't watch it. It's okay that other people appreciate things that you don't. And this movie happens to make some really beautiful points about the way religious people operate sometimes.
I would say watch both the documentary Secret Life of Brian and the movie Life of Brian.
Absolutely.
Both of which are almost impossible to find through legal channels, but they're both on YouTube. So just search YouTube and watch them.
Go watch them.
Throw caution to the wind and watch them on YouTube before they get deleted. Now that we've brought attention to them, with our millions of fans, probably going to get zucked really fast.
Yeah.
So as soon as you finish watching this, go search for Secret Life of Brian and watch the two movies back.
Yeah, they are. It's worth a watch, and I think you'll find a lot of great. For one, you'll just enjoy them, but you're going to find a lot of great ideas that still hold up today, if even more, if nothing else. So, I would just recommend it, and get out there and live your life, and let's stop being so worried about who we're going to offend. Like, we're going to offend people regardless. Just the very fact that I am a voluntarist and I exist offends people.
Yep. And speaking of Sherry offending people, go search for the Launchpad Media Postcards from Somalia. It's been going for about a month now,
yes.
and it's one of the funniest shows on podcasting.
Yeah, maybe.
And no, and if you play it for the right people, it's guaranteed to offend.
Yeah,
So.
it's going to offend somebody. Like, it's going to offend somebody, but it's a lot of fun, and we enjoy doing it.
So we appreciate if you can find the person who you think will be offended and share it with them. See if we can get a nice protest going.
It's the people who need it, man. All right, we thank you for your support, and you guys, until next time, peace.
And like and subscribe, please. Thanks.
Yes.